What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the physique update from Regan Grimes, who is already geared up for this upcoming 2025 season. And his first show most probably is gonna be the Pittsburgh Pro or the New York Pro, which is scheduled in May. Now, based on the physique updates that we have seen in the past few weeks, especially this recent one, he is on to a good starting point considering the fact that he weighs over 300 pounds, which isn't the first time he has touched this weight, but I have got to say this is the first time in that kind of body composition. So last year when he competed in a couple of shows, including the Olympia, he was down to 250 pounds, especially for the last show of the year, which was the Olympia for him, and his best training to date. But this year, Regan Grimes is aiming to come in heavier, much more fuller, and much more denser. Now we all know that weight isn't a true metric of the progress that you have made. But a guy who is close to 6 feet tall, like Regan is, he needs to be heavier than 250 in order to make a big statement at the big show, especially at the top level. And we already know that the lineups at both the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro, they are gonna be wild. Again, Regan is no longer working with Milos, and this is his first season with Stefan as his coach. So it is gonna be really interesting to see what kind of package they bring the next time he steps on stage. So the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro are turning out to be one of those kind of shows that even if some of these guys like Regan nail it 100%, it still won't guarantee even a top 3 finish, especially with guys like Martin and Nick Walker and all these other guys in there. Next up we have the physique update of Martian-Fitzwater. Just 2 more days and he will have a green signal to go for the push for this upcoming season, as Martin has been using this time to heal and recover, to detox from the long season that he had this year. So typically a guy who just placed 4th at his first ever Miss Olympia, and the man who is already qualified for the Olympia next year as well. Like Martin for instance, who got his Olympia qualification by winning Prague just a couple of weeks after the Olympia this year. They would just dedicate the entire next year to a long growing phase, a proper off season, to move up the ranks at the Olympia level. But the increased prize money this year, that has changed things for many of these top IFB pros. Now there is no guarantee that you are gonna improve on your placings at the Olympia next year. So Martin made a great call by deciding to compete in most of the high prize money shows, and he wants to make the maximum out of it. Now with the rumors of Derek Lunsford also doing the Pittsburgh Pro, and Nick Walker also 100% committed, it is gonna be really challenging for Martin to get that $100,000. Because at this point, I do not think that he is aiming to do this upcoming Fibo Germany anymore, because that show is just too close. And that means he's gonna have to start a full-blown dieting phase right away starting January, with literally no off-season phase at all. So this upcoming year, that is truly gonna show us how good Martin really is. Because if we look at the Olympia, he encountered physiques like Andrew Jagged, not at his best. But the good thing about Martin is that he isn't missing anything. He is very complete front to back, top to bottom. Plus on top of all that, the man is so young, just 27 years old. So time is on his side and he can play it really safe because he can compete for another 10 years. And by that time, we all know that all of these top pros, they will be gone. Next up we have an update from Blessing Avutipu. So the man currently is flying under the radar for everyone. And the thing is, even his own fans, they just do not consider him a threat at this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro. But we have to keep in mind, there is gonna be like an 18-month break between his last show and his upcoming show, which is gonna be the Pittsburgh Pro. So we might see Blessing making a transformation, similar to kind of transformation that we saw back in 2022, when he took that 1 whole year off, came back, and he won Indy Pro and the New York Pro that year. Now his upper body front to back was totally fine even back then. And this will all come down to how much bigger his quads are gonna be the next time he steps on stage. Now he is working with Stefan, so we expect him to be absolutely ripped on the show day. But there has got to be a plan B for a guy like Blessing, because the show that he has chosen for his comeback, it just isn't realistic to think that he can come back and smash guys like Martin and Nick Walker, who are top Olympians. Now Blessing did make waves during this off-season because he took his weight up to 320 pounds, which is something that we see once in a blue moon. and with guys like Samson Dauda and Big Ramy and probably Andrew Jack. So I wonder why some of these other guys, they did not go for this upcoming Detroit Pro, which is happening in April, because they're gonna have a more realistic chance at that show of getting a pro win and earning their Olympia qualification against that sort of competition. So who else is excited to see the return of Justin Shire to the stage next year? Now some of the biggest names in bodybuilding, they cannot even claim that they were able to win their first pro show. But Justin is that guy who won the show at his pro debut, and that was Chicago Pro last year. And since turning pro, he has done only 2 shows so far. The Olympia debut was a real eye-opener for Justin Shire, and he immediately realized that he needs to go back to the drawing board and focus on bringing up his back and put on some more muscle, some more thickness on all of his physique. Now, interestingly, both of these genetic freaks, Carlos Thomas Jr. and Justin, who turned pro in the same show, they had the same weakness, not having a good enough back. Now, Justin has not competed since the Olympia last year, and he's aiming to make a very strong comeback next year. Now, I have got to say the man has got all the tools to get back to the Olympia stage and honestly do extremely well at the Olympia level as well, because the man has got all those aesthetic lines, very round quads, a super small waistline, not to mention those huge arms, which is ideal for bodybuilding. Now, Justin made some tremendous improvements in the past few years, and that includes making his back a lot better. Now, typically, if a pro bodybuilder, they have a weak back, a weak body part, we can pretty much say that it is because of genetics. But with Justin, he can certainly improve on that and make this successful comeback next year.
He hired a law firm to help him, and I have super high hopes. I exchanged a few emails and everything, and I hope it's going to happen.
Great to hear from Milos Sarcev, the coach of Behrouz Visa, that a firm is going to help Behrouz Visa get his visa for the US next year. So finally these guys are doing something different, something out of the box, not just relying on the hope to get him to US. Now Behrouz in his recent updates looks so damn massive and is definitely making his return to Dubai Pro next year as the defending champion. But he should not miss this opportunity to compete at the first ever Fibo Germany, because that show is most probably gonna have some great competition. Not to mention the prize money at that show, that is probably gonna be $100,000. Plus, we have to keep in mind, Behrouz has been off since the Olympia this year. Now there hasn't been a more unlucky bodybuilder than Behrouz Visa in the recent past. Even Hadi Choopan was able to get his visa on his 3rd attempt. But Behrouz has been prepping so hard every single year, hoping to make a big impact at the Olympia stage. But with all the hard work going to win every single year, it must have been super disappointing. This year in particular we saw that, because Behrouz Visa did not even go for those post-Olympia shows. So one cannot even imagine the mental toughness some of these Iranians have to go through an entire prep, being uncertain of the future. Now I am very excited to see Behrouz Visa back on the stage next year and compete against some of the top guys who placed very high at the Olympia this year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.